Evolution is a natural process where species adapt over generations to thrive in their environment. However, when humans come into the picture, this process takes an unexpected turn. Through activities like building cities over natural habitats, polluting ecosystems, and overhunting, we're not just reshaping the world around us. We're also driving changes in the animals that share it. With that in mind, let's explore some fascinating examples of creatures that have been compelled to evolve due to human influence. Kodiak bears, often referred to as Alaskan brown bears, are the largest subspecies of the brown bear and rival the polar bear as the largest bear species on Earth. While most brown bears can weigh up to 360 kilograms, about 800 pounds, Kodiak bears can exceed an impressive 680 kilograms, 1,500 pounds. To put that into perspective, that's roughly the weight of 100 bowling balls or a small car like a Mini Cooper. However, these bears were once even larger. In 1990, National Geographic correspondent Douglas Chadwick observed a troubling trend. The average size of Kodiak bears was gradually decreasing over time. Native to a handful of remote Alaskan islands, Kodiak bears have faced evolutionary pressures, largely from human activity. Hunters have played a significant role in this decline. During that period, private hunting expeditions were highly sought after, with hunters paying upwards of $20,000 for a guided hunt, equivalent to nearly $39,000 today when adjusted for inflation. These hunters targeted the largest bears for trophies, leaving smaller bears to reproduce and pass on their genes. In this case, size really does matter. African elephants are under constant threat from poachers, with more than 100 killed daily for their ivory. Despite the international ban on ivory trade, it remains highly sought after for decorative purposes and unfounded medicinal claims. Tragically, harvesting ivory usually involves killing the elephant or leaving it defenseless without its tusks. This relentless pressure has triggered a shocking example of natural selection. In areas where poaching is rampant, elephants are evolving to be born without tusks. Following Mozambique's civil war, nearly 90% of the country's elephant population was slaughtered for ivory. However, elephants with a rare genetic mutation preventing tusk growth were spared and passed this trait to their offspring. Today, about 32% of female elephants in Mozambique are tuskless, a dramatic increase from the usual 2 to 4%. This phenomenon is not limited to Mozambique. In South Africa's Addo National Park, more than 98% of female elephants now lack tusks, a striking response to intense poaching. If the demand for ivory persists, tusklessness could become the dominant trait in elephant populations, fundamentally altering the species to adapt to human-driven threats. If you're dealing with a rodent infestation that's spreading diseases and fleas, one common solution is to use poison. Warfarin, a popular choice, is tasteless and odorless, so mice don't suspect a thing. It's been effectively used since the 1950s to handle such problems, but recently scientists discovered something alarming. A hybrid mouse has developed a resistance to this very poison. The discovery came after a bakery in Germany had a severe rodent issue, and a pest control expert applied bromadiolone, a stronger version of warfarin. Surprisingly, the poison had no impact on the mice. Further investigation revealed that a German mouse and an Algerian mouse had interbred, creating a rare hybrid. Unlike most hybrids, this one was fertile and able to reproduce. The Algerian mouse had previously developed immunity to poison through a genetic mutation. When it mated with the German mouse, the hybrid inherited this resistance via horizontal gene transfer, a process usually seen in bacteria, not mammals. Climate change is causing sea levels to rise, triggering weather anomalies and even altering the colors of certain animals, like tawny owls. Yes, you read that correctly, these owls are changing color. As humans continue to accelerate climate change, animals around the world are adapting in unexpected ways to cope with the shifting environment. Take the tawny owls in Finland as a prime example. There are two primary color variations, brown and gray. The gray owls blend seamlessly with the snow-covered forests, while the brown owls are more easily spotted by predators. In the past, the grey variation was more common, making up over 70% of the population, as it had a significant advantage in terms of camouflage. However, as Finland's winters have grown warmer and snow has become less frequent, brown tawny owls have started to dominate, now comprising more than 50% of the population. This shift is a stark indication that climate change is already influencing wildlife in ways that are hard to ignore, impacting species beyond just humans. Tawny owls aren't the only creatures adjusting their appearance in response to climate change. The turtle-headed sea snake, native to the Pacific Ocean, was once easily recognized by the distinctive white bands running along its body. However, in recent years, scientists have noticed that these markings are fading, leaving the snakes with an entirely black appearance. Researchers began to investigate the cause of this unusual change. What they discovered was surprising. The sea snakes near coastal cities in the Pacific were found to have elevated levels of trace elements like arsenic and zinc in their systems. Scientists believe that the snakes are evolving to cope with environmental pollution from nearby urban areas. This adaptation, known as industrial melanism, allows the snakes to store the toxins they absorb in their skin, which fortunately they can shed, reducing the negative impact on their health. However, other animals affected by industrial melanism, such as the peppered moth and pigeons in Paris, aren't so lucky. They are unable to shed the toxins and instead store them in their feathers and protective membranes, resulting in a darkened, blackened appearance. Have you ever gone to bed only to wake up covered in itchy red bumps? Chances are you've encountered bedbugs. These tiny pests feed exclusively on blood, much like fleas. Bedbugs hide in places like beds, couches, clothing, and any soft spots where they can easily stay concealed. Typically, an infestation can be controlled with a thorough cleaning and a spray of common pesticides. But if you live in New York, here's some bad news. Researchers from the University of Massachusetts found that bedbugs in New York are 250 times more resistant to typical pesticides than those in Florida. This is due to changes in a gene that regulates the resilience of their nerve cells, causing them to produce higher levels of enzymes that neutralize poisons. Why does this happen? Continuous pesticide use acts as a form of natural selection, where only the most resilient, toughest bedbugs survive to pass on their genetic traits. Imagine trying to communicate in a bustling city with the constant roar of traffic drowning out your voice. This is the daily challenge for city birds whose survival depends on their ability to adapt their songs to cut through the urban noise. Bird species that live in urban areas like parks and green spaces constantly battle against the noise of traffic, which can drown out their mating calls. But evolution has come up with a clever solution: being louder. A study in Washington, D.C.'s Rock Creek Park found that birds adjust their songs in response to city noise. They sing in shorter bursts, with a narrower range of frequencies and less variation in pitch. Further research revealed that this adaptation isn't something that can be replicated in a lab. Birds raised in controlled environments with constant loud noise didn't show the same change, indicating that this is a natural population-wide adjustment to a specific challenge. In other words, it's evolution in action. Bigger fish have always been prized by fishermen, but relentless overfishing by commercial fleets has made large Atlantic cod increasingly scarce. As a result, the species has begun to adapt by getting smaller. One of the most heavily overfished species worldwide, Atlantic cod were historically targeted for their size, making them highly desirable but now much harder to find. In 1992, a fishing moratorium was introduced after the collapse of the cod industry, along with conservation efforts to restore their population. However, decades of overfishing had already caused significant changes. Over the past 30 years, the average size of Atlantic cod has decreased by roughly 20%. By removing the largest individuals, smaller fish were left to reproduce, passing on their genes to the next generation. Additionally, to avoid being caught before reproducing, cod have evolved to reach sexual maturity earlier. While they once reproduced at around 6 years of age when they were larger, they now begin mating at 5 years old, a shift of over 16%. This adaptation improves their chances of producing offspring before being caught, but it comes at the cost of their size and long-term survival. For cod, it's evolve or disappear. Of animals that have evolved significantly due to human influence. Often called man's best friend, they've earned this title because humans have shaped their evolution to suit our needs and preferences. Descended from grey wolves, which once reached lengths of 6 feet and weighed up to 120 pounds, dogs have been selectively bred over centuries to produce the domesticated and diverse species we know today. Historically, dog breeds were tailored for specific roles. Poodles were initially gun dogs, prized for their soft mouths when retrieving game. Dalmatians, known for their stamina, ran alongside carriages in the 1700s as a status symbol. Bulldogs earned their name in 5th century England for their role in assisting butchers with livestock control. However, as their roles in labour and hunting have diminished, selective breeding has shifted towards aesthetics. Breeds like French bulldogs with their adorable snub noses and tiny handbag dogs such as Chihuahuas and Pomeranians have been cultivated purely for their appearance and size. Unfortunately, this has led to significant health challenges. Many snub-nosed breeds experience chronic breathing issues, while smaller breeds face problems like overcrowded teeth, hypoglycemia, joint disorders, heart conditions, and more. While dogs may be our loyal companions, the unintended consequences of our breeding practices suggest that humanity hasn't always been their best ally. Unlike dogs, not all animals require centuries to adapt to the conditions humans have created. Smaller species like lizards and insects often reproduce at incredibly fast rates, some with life cycles as short as 25 days. This allows genetic traits and learned behaviors to be passed down much more quickly than in longer-living species. Take the anole lizard, for example. This small creature, native to Puerto Rico, can evolve up to 100 generations within just 30 to 40 years, and that's exactly what's happened. In response to an environment dominated by concrete and glass rather than tree bark, the urban version of the anole lizard has developed longer legs and improved adhesion on its toe pads. These changes enable it to move swiftly across smoother surfaces, unlike its forest-dwelling relatives. It's a clear example of natural selection at work. Which of these incredible adaptations surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for watching.